our Buddha nature. Oops. Sorry, I started too soon. Anyway, so the precepts show how we lean away from our Buddha nature. And then the precepts are the way back to our Buddha nature. And this precept was originally focused on the use of alcohol and other substances. But other things interfere with our experiencing the present moment. And I was reading Thich Nhat Hanh, and he originally wrote the full text of the precept, which we are aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption. I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindfulness or mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I vow to ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I am determined not to use alcohol or any other intoxicants, or to ingest foods or other items that contain toxins, such as, and then he lists certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I practice limitations and try to remain cognizant about why I do these things. So, and I was reading some things about it. Diane Rossetto talks about the clarity that we already have and the more subtle ways that we can turn to avoid being present. And she says it depends on how we use these ways, because, you know, we might enjoy a cool beer on a hot day or going to a good movie, but we can use these things to escape from being in the present. And I know that, you know, I often, you know, have been clean and sober for 36 years, and I use other things to avoid being in the present, being mindful. And like today, I had a disturbing phone call from a family member who was accusing me of talking about her because someone overheard me talking to a friend. And it was true. I was talking about her to a friend. And she said I only said bad things about her and said good things about other people. And I had no, you know, I didn't really mean to be saying bad things about her. I didn't think the things were bad, but I was very upset about doing that. And so I went and I ended up taking a nap. It was my way of escaping from those feelings, because I have a hard time with feeling feelings. And when I used to drink, that was one of the things, one of the reasons I drank was to escape feelings. So, you know, and I do all kinds of things to escape feelings, and I have to keep on working on, you know, I keep on working on trying to be mindful and not like I eat sugar, and I do it mostly at night because I'm escaping whatever feelings I've had during the day. I watch TV, or I get on my cell phone and or the internet or whatever. So you know, that's one of the things about using intoxicants. I feel that, you know, it's escaping, you know, to me, it's a selfish activity, and it's escaping whatever is going on in the moment. And, you know, if I don't like what's going on in the moment, then I try and do things to escape it. So I thought that I would just get into, I'd like to get into a discussion about, you know, what people feel like they do to escape the moment or escape reality, or to, avoid feelings or whatever. And Diane Rossetto says that not all things are intoxicants, but it depends on how we use them. So, not all these things are bad, like using food. We do need to eat food, but it depends on how we use it. So, and another thing I read was addiction is a requirement that causes us to act in body, speech, and mind in a certain way in order to alter our experience. And so, and it's Rev Anderson says that whenever we use a substance or a state of being is based on a craving, and then it becomes an intoxicant. So I was just wondering, what people feel are intoxicants and how we use intoxicants. So that's kind of where I am. So I'd like to open it up for discussion.
Penny, I'm actually curious, some of the things that you said, this question arose of when does it become self-care? Like when you said I just went and took a nap. If there's, or, watch a TV program, or when does that line, where's that line of, because you think about people that are just distraught and they're like, I'm just going to go get drunk. I need to get out of this. I need to escape from it. I'm just going to go get wasted. Where it's a very clear, like, intention. It's a really clear intention. I'm going to go get drunk and I'm going to go escape from whatever's going on in my head right now. Versus going and taking a nap. I guess it goes to that intention. I was just, when I was listening to you, I was thinking, well, taking a nap is good self-care. And so I guess it would be more of the intention, like, you know what, I don't want to feel these feelings, like really consciously, I don't want to feel these feelings. I'm going to go take a nap. I don't want to feel these feelings. I'm going to go get drunk. So I guess that's what, when you were talking about it, that's what was arising for me. It's kind of more about, I think, the intention.
Well, that's what I think. It's the intention. And, like going and taking a nap because you need a rest. But I thought about that because, when I got this phone call, I was working on, reading stuff and everything about intoxicants. And then I went, I don't even want, I don't want to feel these feelings. And so I felt like I was escaping rather than doing self-care. Now it could have been both, you know, but until that phone call, I wasn't really tired. But then after the phone call, I thought, I don't like the way I'm feeling. And so I think it's kind of up to each one of us, how we're using it. And, because one person could say, well, I'm taking a nap because I've been working hard and I'm tired and I feel like I need a rest. Or, I was feeling like I was just trying to get away from my feelings. I didn't like the feeling. And so I just took a nap, and but so it was, or I could go, like if I do that, at sometimes I go and like stuff myself with sugar, instead of having like one little piece of something that, like, I'm not saying no one should eat sugar, but to just overdo because I don't like the feelings I'm having. So anyone else have any comment on that?
Penny, I
I
feel.
don't,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dixie. I was just gonna say, I don't tend to escape from my emotions. I tend to avoid them altogether. I don't even know I'm having them sometimes until afterwards. So for me, if I was going to take a nap, it would be because I was tired of all the emotions and I needed to momentarily recharge to escape, yes, but to come back to the fight later. So I absolutely agree with Choan and you there that it's all about how you're handling it. Go ahead, Tico.
Well, yeah, what you said, and also that sleep can be such a good way of processing stuff while you're conscious. Because what's the alternative? Are you going to sit there and just stress? I must face this fear. Oh my God, they hate me. I didn't mean what they said. She got it all right. What's going on with that? Whereas if you sleep, it gives. I feel like it. I don't know. Gives your inner self a chance to process without your chatterbox brain butting in. So it feels like kind of like a healthy thing to do to me. Also, I was thinking specifically, well, yeah, I mean, I love escape and I'm not going to apologize for it. I mean, I live in books basically, and it doesn't feel like a terrible thing to me. It really doesn't. It feels enriching. It feels like I'm expanding my world. Um, and I also think that if I could enjoy a lovely glass of wine in the evening with friends over dinner, it would be lovely and companionable and pleasant and um, a warm thing to do. I can't do that, but I appreciate that it's a gift for people who can. So I don't see that really as an escape. I mean, I don't know. I find Thich Nhat Hanh pretty severe
I,
on this particular precept. Yeah.
I agree. I find Thich Nhat Hanh really severe. And I liked what Diane Rossetto said about that if you want to have a cool glass of beer on a hot day, that's not using an intoxicant. That, and, if, but I think, if you, I mean, like at that moment, going and taking a nap, it might have been good, except I, I felt like I was escaping. So I think that it's up to each individual person whether whether they would consider something an intoxicant, you know.
Did you have a
Um,
different perspective when you woke up? I think that recharging, that time, like Keiko said, gives you time to process your sleep and your processing. That's why so many people say just sleep on it before you
yeah,
respond, etc. So did you feel like there was a different perspective, maybe less stress about the situation? Did it help taking a nap? I guess
I'm
that's
not sure yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if it really helped or if it was just a temporary, I'm not going to think about this.
very
Um,
individual. Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm going to jump in here. Uh, Reading the precept, it said, let me just go back to it really quick. The second part of it is do not become intoxicated, polish clarity, dispel delusion. And I kind of, in a way, I feel like, not to like disparage your example, Penny, because I think, you have insight into what you're doing, but I kind of think like what you did was polish clarity because you were you'd been studying this topic before you got that phone call and you were thinking about it and you kind of realized, I don't know, it was like you kind of realized what escapism looks like, maybe, I don't know. but I like that. You were like attuned, you were kind of attuned to how it looks in your life when it was happening.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that that happened right in the middle of, reading things about intoxicants. And, I don't know if I hadn't been reading about intoxicants at the time, if I would have thought of that as, I mean, I do sometimes use sleep as an escape. If I don't want to do something that I feel like I have to do, I think, okay, I'm just going to go to bed for a while. Um, so it's an avoidance thing. And that's when I think it's, when I think I sometimes use it as a way of escaping whatever is going on. But I like what people said about, it's good to sleep on it and think about it and whatever the thing is.
My question would be, do you have any other mechanisms to deal with feelings other than escaping? I mean, you've done mental health stuff for decades. What other tools do you have do any of us have, not just you?
Yeah.
When we have those feelings?
And I do have mechanisms like journaling, which I didn't do, and talking to other people, about certain situations. So yeah. And I didn't do those. I just went to bed.
We are at 7:50 exactly.
Oh.
So thank you so much, Penny. There's never enough time for these conversations.
Right. Thank you.
So, Choan.
Okay, so mine. Do not dwell on past mistakes. Create wisdom from ignorance. In the realm of the flawless Dharma, not expounding upon error is the precept of not dwelling on past mistakes. In the Buddha Dharma, there is one path, one Dharma, one realization, one practice. Do not engage in fault finding. Do not condone haphazard talk. So I think some of you were here when I said that I was going to the beach for a couple days, and I was going to really focus on this. And I got down there, and of course I didn't. I didn't even open it. And so I got home and kind of dove into it, and a lot of things came up differently for me than it usually does when I do this. I read a lot of different thoughts on it, and there was some key points that I came across that I wish we had time that I could just say the point and then we could discuss it and then go to the next point and discuss it, because there just was a lot that came up for each one of them. So one of the things that was brought up was mistakes are actually our effort in doing things that we're trying to do correctly or right, or to serve a purpose or serve others. We wouldn't even feel like we had any mistakes if we were not in full effort in our daily lives. So when you can kind of look at it in a perspective that is positive like that, it really, when I thought about that, it just felt so much better than dwelling on the mistake in itself. It just felt like, oh my gosh, that's totally right. If you can't make a mistake if you're not doing anything. So that effort felt, I don't know, just reassuring to me, and it also lessened the need to dwell on the mistake. Why dwell on the mistake when I was actually putting effort into something? So that was one of the things that came up. And then oh, I have a note here. This doesn't mean we should get away with everything and not be called on it. So this is saying don't dwell on it, don't discuss it. You know, a lot of different versions. Don't talk about it, don't dwell on it, don't share it with other people. It was almost as if you do it, recognize it or not, but move on. And I think that that doesn't mean that we don't process it. We don't think about, because how do we learn from those things? If when we are putting effort forth and we do find that there was a mistake, um, we didn't do it as skillfully as we would have liked. I do think that we should think about it so we learn from it. So next time, maybe we'll be a little bit more skillful about it, but just not dwelling on it. So I think that there is that piece of not expecting to just move on from the mishap or mistake or without not even processing it. So the next thought was not living in the past, holding on to grudges means that we're not embracing the moment. So not being in, if we're so stuck in the past for us or mistakes that other people have made, then it really does rob us of the moment that we're in right now. I know that for me, if I feel like I've hurt somebody's feelings, if I've kind of like what Penny was saying, if I, all of a sudden somebody's saying that, they felt like I was talking about them or whatever the situation would be, you can really go down, or at least for me, a rabbit hole and really perseverate, tell that same story over and over and over. What did I say? I think I said this, and I think I said that, or I think I did. This is what I did. That's not what I did. I did this. And should I go to that person and should I talk to him about it? Should I just let it go and just pretend it didn't happen? And I could lay in bed all night and worry about it and perseverate. I'm one of those people that I lay my head on the pillow at night and I could be so asleep before I get to that bed. And once I get to that bed, that's when that perseverating happens. And I could just really be dwelling um, on the mistake that I made and should I apologize? Will it make it worse if I bring it up? What should I do? And I could lay there and lose a lot of sleep over it. And when you think about that, that's hours. It could be hours, it could be days out of our life, and that we are robbing ourselves of the moment. For me, I get up in the morning and I've robbed myself of sleep. If it happened during the day, I probably didn't notice a ton of things that were happening around me because I was so perseverating on something. So it really does just rob us of the moment. And then too, it kind of reminds us, it's a good reminder to mind our own business many times. I mean, when we're sitting here judging um, other people in our, in our circle or at work or whatever. Now, I'm not talking about the big stuff that we really do have to think about, but I do think that many times we kind of have to check ourselves and go, is this really any of your business? Is it is it something that we should be judging somebody else for? I it was interesting. I went to the library this afternoon to kind of fine tune these bullet points, and I almost was slapped in the face with my own talk because earlier in the day I was telling a friend basically I didn't feel like I was judging and I didn't feel like my ego was in the moment. I didn't feel like my ego was in the coming up. I didn't feel like I was judging. But this friend of mine continues to do something that brings consequences to her. And I was like, oh my gosh, if you would just do this, that consequence wouldn't keep happening. Why aren't you learning from your lesson? I mean, I wasn't that blunt, but when it was said and done, that's basically what I was saying. It was it in a nutshell, it was saying, look, I know better than you do in this moment. And it was a judgment, and it was my ego, because she organizes some events and I organize some events, and she always gets these people that don't end up paying her, and she gets stuck with the bill. And so I was like, you need to be asking these people for the money up front. And when it was, so I'm sitting at the library reading my notes, and I thought, oh my gosh, I did the same thing with her today. This was none of my business. It's her event. She gets stuck with the bill over and over. That's her deal. But it was my ego coming up, going, look, I don't deal with this stuff because I do it differently. And so it really was me talking about mistakes directly to her, not to somebody else, but directly to her. And I could see my ego in the moment. And so it was just it was just kind of, I don't know, not ironic, but it was just kind of a slap in the face to me that I'm sitting here reading my notes, and I had did that exact thing just this morning with that friend of mine. So I think that sometimes we do have to take that moment and step back and check ourselves. Take the pause. We always talk about that. We talk about that over and over and over. Taking the pause, thinking before we speak, because many times we probably wouldn't say the things that we say or do if we would just take a moment, take a pause, and think about it. And then let's see. Oh, and then then forgiveness. Sometimes it's much deeper than the mistake itself. If we could peel back the layers when we're judging people, when we're talking about mistakes, theirs or ours, if we could peel back the layers and really look at it from a place of compassion, a place of forgiveness, a place of acceptance, I think it takes a lot of power away from the mistake in itself. I think when you start asking yourself, am I being compassionate? Am I being forgiven? Am I forgiving? Am I forgiving myself? I think that it takes a lot of power away from that dwelling. And then let's see. Oh, one of the things Dharma Junkie said, and I just loved it. They said, to awaken again and again in the present moment, and just allow the past to fulfill itself naturally. How many times do we want to drive the car? You know, we just don't even let things happen naturally. I mean, I think about kind of like that stuff I was just talking about. If we sit there and perseverate on it, and then we're talking to them more about it, and we're wanting to process it more and more and more, it's like we just interrupt this natural fulfillment, natural process that would happen. And again, it really is just robbing us of the moment. And when I think about when we sit sanzen with our teachers, we can sit on that cushion. And when we sit on that cushion, we're usually, at least for me, I'm talking about me on that cushion. I don't go in and sit on the cushion and talk to my teacher about mistakes other people are making. It's usually always about my life, my practice, it's all about me when I'm sitting on that cushion and my practice and reflecting with my teacher. Why is it when we're out in the world that it's very different than that? When we're out in the world and we're thinking about mistakes and judgment, it's usually about the world, other people in the world, the family, friends, the administration. Our focus is very different publicly, off the cushion. And I think it's important for us to try to, for lack of a better word, marry the two. Why is it that when we're on the cushion, it's very different, our mistakes, when we're talking about mistakes or dwelling on mistakes, it's very different than it is out in the world. When we judge, we are thinking right, wrong, good versus bad, instead of, that's very divisive. It's very negative. It's very, I don't know. It's just, I think that's where our mind goes many times. We try to put these labels on it. So I think just trying to step away from that judgment and step away from putting those labels on it is helpful. Let's see here. Dwelling on past mistakes can harm relationships. We can't undo it. We can't redo it. And we really can't make up for it. So what does it gain? Where, other than that moment of trying to learn from it, but to dwell on it as this speaks about, we really can't undo it, can't redo it, and we really can't make it up, make up for it. The only thing we can do is offer who we are in the moment right now. We can forgive and apologize, but there's just no benefit in dwelling. We can become better now. We can offer the best of ourselves to others and to ourselves. We can bring the walls down and we can experience change. We can lean into love, compassion, unity, and try not to have the divisions. And always remembering we are not our past mistakes. Judging and dwelling on our past mistakes definitely shows our own blind spots. So that's all I have. I'd love to have some discussion about it. We've got 10 minutes, so.
I could give my own talk on this if I wanted to, because this is a hot button topic for me right now. Considering my major enemy in my life lately has been me, I must do better than I already am, which of course is a trap, because how can you be better? But my current motto is practice, not performance. Not trying to get it right, I'm trying to do it. So that was a point you made early on, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciated that too, Choan, that you started out with something along the lines of, um, if we learn by trial and error, then there's no such thing as a mistake. Just rungs on the ladder to being a better person.
Exactly, effort.
Hmm. I mean, you could make mistakes by not putting effort into something. That could be a mistake as well. But if that brings you bad consequences and you learn from it, there's really no such thing as a mistake. We should think of a different word.
I always, Joshin uses the word skillful, a lot. Maybe we were not as skillful as we could have been in that moment. And that always feels good to me. It doesn't feel like this major judgment. It just is saying that, you know, like anything that we get skills at, we have to work at things to get skillful at it. And again, it goes back to that effort, right? If we don't do the effort, we're not going to get skillful at it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that that's really a good point. I'm always rewriting these precepts, and I would rewrite that one. Don't dwell on past unskillful moments. It's a lot less judgy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
not a bad person. You just made a mistake.
Or didn't handle that as skillfully as
Yeah,
as
that was not skillful. That's true. That's watch
as
the
you go
direction.
next time.
Or
As
you had a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
does
it's kind of
make
like
me,
this.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Penny.
Well, I was thinking it, you know, it makes me think of the mistake I made of speaking out of turn about someone else. And it seems like most of my mistakes that I dwell on are sticking my foot in my mouth. And then I do it again. You know, I think I learn from it. And I do sometimes, but then I do, you know, then enough time passes and I forget about it and I do it again. Not the same thing, but, you know, it's like, I guess I'm unskillful at talking.
Well,
And
it's like me this morning, you know, we have these blind spots. I do the same thing. It's not like today was my very first time doing that, that I had to look at my ego and look and go, great, Kim, you were kind of being judgy there, weren't you? And so I think I mean, I know that I do that. I definitely will repeat patterns.
yeah,
What do you think the phrase is it create wisdom from ignorance? Is that, I gotta look at it again. Yeah. What do you think that means? I always kind of like feel confounded with that turn of phrase.
Well, for me, I really kind of think that it's exactly what what we've been talking about. We do something not so skillfully. We look at it, we process it for a minute, and next time we hope that we are more skillful at it when this arises again. So, I mean, ignorance, you could call it probably, you know, different things, but you are creating wisdom every time you process and look at that. Like today, for me, I was able to, where years ago I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. I was able to come out of that today and see that my ego was arising, that I was being judgmental. So I would hope that if that situation arose again, that I'd be more skillful about it. So that to me is wisdom. We're gaining some wisdom.
One of the things that I know for myself, it is that if I have to apologize, I hate having to do that. So I'm much more careful. You know, if I've made a mistake and I have to apologize for it, then I learn more than if I just say, well, it was a mistake and I'm, you know, I go on my way. For me, the making direct amends whenever possible really gets me. It's like I don't want to have to do that. So I'm more likely to be careful and not make that same mistake again because I don't want to have to make amends again. And I specifically need to make amends when I have done something wrong for me.
and I agree with the amends. I need to make amends in a situation where someone is accusing me of stuff. I don't, it's hard to know exactly, you know, I said I was sorry. I didn't know what I was doing when I did it, but I will try not to do it again. but it's difficult now to, to know how to make amends when, you said you're sorry, and I am, and I'm thinking maybe I should write a note, apologizing more, I
Did you
don't,
say you were sorry to the person that you were speaking badly about?
yeah, I
Oh.
did. I did. I said I was sorry, and I didn't even realize, I mean, to me, it wasn't badly. But it was bad to her because but I did say I was sorry, but I
Mhm.
feel like more needs to be done.
You brought
But
up
I
a good
don't know what.
point about you brought up a good point about perception. Perception is everything because sometimes it's not our intention at all to hurt somebody's feelings. But if their feelings get hurt, their perception is really valid.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's I feel like it's okay to go to the person and say, I imagine you felt hurt. That was not my intention, just to have a little bit of a healthy dialogue if you feel like it's going to continue, the situation's going to continue until there's some kind of resolution. But again,
Right. But I also don't want to act like I'm trying to defend myself, and saying that was not my perception. It's like, well, but you did it, you know. Um,
yeah.
so that's why I was thinking of I'll probably write something and then I'll decide if I want to, just write something in my journal and then decide what I want to say. But I don't want to start keeping on bringing it up,
Mhm.
because I don't think that's good either.
Well, and then you're getting into that dwelling.
That's true. That's a good point.
Guys, we're at 8:15. So great conversations, everybody.
I want to say, Ruth Ann, I'm sorry if we didn't give a moment for you to speak up. Um, I missed hearing your voice tonight. So, okay.
The universe is as the boundless sky. Just as the lotus is not wet by the waters that surround it, so the mind is pure and goes beyond. Thus we bow to Buddha. All
All
Buddhas
Buddhas
throughout
throughout
space and
space and
time,
time.
all honored ones, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, prajna paramita. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks, Choan. That was good.